The Marvel Cinematic Universe kicked off in 2008 with Iron Man and promises of an epic team-up to come. But how will it end? Nobody knows the answer to that question. With the future of Marvel's old guard, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Hulk uncertain, there have been rumors that the shared cinematic universe has reached its endgame. But that doesn't appear to be the case. Films including the sequel to Spider-Man: Homecoming and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 are set to land in the ensuing years. So can anything stop this superheroic juggernaut, or will external factors render the universe untenable? I'm Rue from Whatculture, and this is 9 theories on how the Avengers might be disassembled. 9. The heroes bring peace to the universe. Otherwise known as the generic happy ending, the Marvel Cinematic Universe could one day reach a rounded conclusion that sees the comic book giant's mightiest heroes vanquish all of their enemies and bring peace to the universe. Thanos is unlikely to be the ultimate big bad for the MCU. In the comic books, he's a complex character who's fought to save the galaxy almost as many times as he's threatened it. So it seems someone else will replace the Mad Titan at the top of the food chain and raise the stakes even higher. Planet-eating Galactus would be the ideal MCU final boss. Thanos sees our heroes unite, but a threat like Galactus would force villains to join the Alliance too. Once this new nemesis emerges, we could be in for another decade's worth of comic book adaptations before the series comes to a head. 8. The universe is unmade. There are characters and artifacts in the Marvel Universe powerful enough to unmake reality, from the Living Tribunal to Thanos' fully stocked Infinity Gauntlet. There could come a time when Marvel Studios feels a hard reboot is needed. Iconic roles like Iron Man and Captain America will need to be recast, probably sooner rather than later, and a universe-shattering event presents the opportunity for an organic reset. A reboot could, of course, come many years after the current cinematic universe has been concluded, but Marvel has the option to trigger a hard reset at any time by having Thanos snap his fingers, or by encouraging the Living Tribunal to pass judgment on all of existence. 7. A shift towards standalone films. Rather than bringing the MCU's walls crashing down in an apocalypse, Marvel could choose to gradually phase it out by shifting back to standalone films. There are hints that this is happening already, with Marvel teasing that Phase 3 will be followed by something dramatically different. Before the MCU, comic adaptations were typically self-contained, dishing out a few installments before rebooting and reloading. The original Avengers brought Earth's mightiest heroes together, Civil War pulled them apart, so perhaps Infinity War and its sequel will send them off on entirely different paths, where only strictly solo adventures are allowed. 6. Bad reviews kill the series off. Any film with the Marvel branding is guaranteed box office gold. Edward Norton's The Incredible Hulk is the closest the MCU ever got to a flop, and even that made $263.4 million off a budget of $150 million. So it's safe to say there's little risk of box office bombs being its unmaking. But what about negative reviews? Most MCU films have struck that sweet spot between critical acclaim and commercial success. But Hollywood is awash with cautionary tales about how quickly things can change. Take the amazing Spider-Man franchise, for instance. One minute Sony was plotting its own cinematic universe, the next it was licking its wounds from a critical battering, sending Spidey back to Marvel on loan to repair his dented reputation. Granted, the MCU is built on more solid foundations than Sony's Spider-Verse, but could a string of poorly received movies spark a backlash from both fans and critics? As its stories grow more complex, it's not unimaginable. 5. The superhero bubble bursts. Steven Spielberg has said that the superhero genre will go the way of the Western. Between the MCU, its DC competitor, and Marvel's X-Men universe, 5 to 7 major comic book adaptations are released each year, and when the Western was in its heyday, oversaturation quickly set in. Critics have been talking about the superhero bubble bursting since the third entries in the original Spider-Man and X-Men series went down like a pair of adamantium balloons. Dear me. And such talk never seems to die out entirely. But shared universe fatigue is a reality Marvel must face. If Spielberg ends up being right, and Hollywood does fall out of love with superheroism, there's a chance Marvel won't get to end the MCU on its own terms. 4. The MCU's timeline is altered. A hard reset isn't the only device Marvel could use to shape its future. The firm's comic book arm has often used time travel to rewrite its status quo. The X-Men series is notorious for this, and Fox's movies dabbled with it in Days of Future Past. An epic time-hopping crossover could be the only way to bring the curtain down, allowing Marvel to surgically remove the heroes it needs to retire, either for contractual reasons or because they're just far too old and frail. Introducing a character like Kang the Conqueror, a cosmic villain with the ability to travel through time and space, would help MCU pull this one off. Kang dates back to the early days of Avengers comics. His ability to time hop could be a game changer, enabling some drastic tweaks without the cynicism attached to reboots. 3. Avengers vs. X-Men. Nobody knows where Marvel's MCU or Fox's X-Men will be in 2028, but an adaptation of the 2012 comic book event Avengers vs. X-Men would be an ideal way to bring the two franchises together and to a close after many decades apart. Obviously, there are huge roadblocks. Fox is hard at work building its own X-Men cinematic universe, but even a few years ago, the idea of Spider-Man joining the MCU would have been dismissed as folly. Crossover events seem to get bigger in scale all the time. Civil War made the original Avengers roster look threadbare, and Infinity War is even more ambitious. So bringing together every character from the X universe and the MCU is the natural next step. If Marvel and Fox put the effort in, they could wrap up two mega franchises in style and pave the way for a new age of superhero films. 2. With a movie-TV crossover. If a crossover deal can't be reached with Fox, perhaps Marvel could look closer to home. Their cinematic and TV universes have so far remained separate, but the comic book giant could finish them all in one big double whammy. Whatever the MCU's next big storyline is after Thanos, it's bound to be even more incredible with added Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and the Punisher. Like Avengers vs. X-Men, it could be a real status quo buster too, this time across both mediums. This is the kind of stunt Marvel should consider if they've any hope of topping the first 3 phases. And one, well, it never ends. Fans have speculated about how the MCU might end, but what if it simply never does? Let's face it, there's no end in sight right now. Even underwhelming Marvel films pull in the kind of box office buck and fresh reviews most other franchises dream of. The movie series is modeled on its comics counterpart, and these have been running uninterrupted as an ongoing interconnected story since the early 1960s. Granted, there have been reboots, hard and soft, but the books have always existed within a shared universe. Every time Spielberg's prophecy of doom threatens to come to pass, a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy or Winter Soldier comes along to prove just how flexible the genre really is. Perhaps the films will enjoy the same level of longevity as the comics, undergoing various restarts across generations, but always existing under one beautiful banner: the Marvel Cinematic Universe. How do you think the MCU might meet its end? Leave a comment below with your ideas and we'll pop them over to Disney. Until it's all over, please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Gosh, can you believe that person said that about that particular video on that entry? I sure can't. But you should like, share, and subscribe below anyway. And also, the people who made this video, they're right here. Go follow them and give them some love. Also, there's more content, probably above my head. Check it out. Or don't. 50-50.